Yeah, well, our guys are practicing hard. I thought we've had a good couple days getting ready, getting prepared for what's often one of the physical games we play all year. These guys are really big up front and do a great job across both defensive and offensive lines, especially in the power running game, and as they've been in for a while, the quarterback run game. So we're getting ready for the Kentucky Wildcats, ready to go.
We'll begin with Mike Griffith of the AJC.
I want to ask you about DJ Daniel and George Pickens. They're a couple guys, and then also just in terms of the bye week defensively, good defense is just kind of looked at as good defense, but just how intricate are the changes that you've got to make to go from one program to a program like Kentucky?
In terms of defense, I mean, we just tried to improve on fundamentals. We took the off week and really worked on block protection, tackling, a lot of circuit work, not really scheme. It's more being able to execute at a high level and tackle people because you don't get a chance to do that very often. So we tried to work really hard on that. And this week's been about, all the different things they do. They create a lot of issues in their run game, and they've got really athletic quarterbacks, that can hurt you when they break out of the pocket and things. As far as George and DJ, in regards to, I don't understand what you're asking. What are you asking about George and DJ?
Availability. I know that there was a report George was in a non-contact jersey, and you mentioned DJ's ankle last week.
Yeah, DJ's been practicing. He's been doing fine. DJ's had an ankle way back. I mean, he's had an ankle all year that he had it in camp. He's been kind of fighting back from that, and it's been bothering him some last week, and been trying to overcome it in terms of that. George should be fine. I mean, he's in and out based on being dinged up a couple times, but we have a lot of guys that way. But he practiced yesterday.
Thank you.
Next is Steve Moulton of WDZN.
Hey, Coach. How you doing this morning?
Doing good, Steve.
With Kentucky, I was wondering if you could talk about both of those quarterbacks, just because both played in the Missouri game and kind of up in the air. Terry Wilson as well as Joey Gatewood. How similar or different are those two quarterbacks, Coach?
Well, it's hard to tell from the body of work we've got on Gatewood. I think you got to go back to his history from high school to Auburn and look at everything. He's obviously a little bigger, more of a physical presence, probably more of an inside runner versus Terry, who can run inside, but has a little more speed on the perimeter. And it's, horizontal versus vertical runners. I think, they both, Terry has gotten to come a long way since when he first was playing quarterback for him. And I think last year, sitting back and watching things with perspective, being injured, has allowed him to get a little bit better. With Gatewood, you don't really know. You don't have a whole lot of body of work to be able to see. But you see the athleticism from the time he was at Auburn, the packages they ran with him, and the limited reps he's taken this year at Kentucky. I think he's done a really nice job.
And if you could speak to this long road stretch, you don't have a home game, I think, till mid-November with traveling to Jacksonville. How taxing or difficult is that on your team, you think, Coach?
I don't think it's a big deal. I think it's mostly overrated. Sometimes our kids get better rest on the road in terms of being able to get away from our place, travel. They rest while they're traveling, and I don't think it's a real big deal. I think it's a lot bigger deal when you're playing in the SEC environments on the road during a traditional season. Of the impact of the crowd noise and all the different things are a lot more impactful when it comes to a normal season than a COVID-altered one in terms of attendance. So we get back later from a night game, but not all of them are night games. At least the next two are kind of afternoon games. So getting back will be important to get recovery.
Thank you, Coach.
If there are any final questions for Coach, please press star one. We'll follow up with Mike Griffith.
You added the transfer Trey McKitty back into the mix. And he only had 1 target the last game. I don't know how much of that was scheme or if something happened, but are you pleased with where the tight ends are at right now, and what do you see their role moving forward?
Yeah, I think the tight ends have done a really good job in terms of the 3 guys that are playing there. Number 1, staying healthy is the most important thing. Number 2, being able to block our edges and create edges and perimeter blocking. Tight ends can become weapons if they can block people's perimeter players. If you can get a bigger man on a smaller man to get on the edges, it certainly helps. In terms of the passing game, a lot of it has to do with what they're playing and how they're playing us. Is the run game working? And if it does, play action tends to help.
Next is Steve Moulton, WZZN.
Yes, Coach. I did have a follow-up about where you feel like you improved the most last week in your bye week.
That's hard to tell. I think the judgment on that comes when you go play the game. There's a lot of areas we focused on, but the improvement usually shows in the game more than just in practice.
Does playing the likes of an Alabama maybe show you areas where you need to tighten up a little bit greater just because of that level of competition, Coach?
Yeah, I think every game shows you something. I mean, you have different matchups in every game, so regardless of who you're playing, the matchup's different. And certainly some teams are stronger in other areas than other teams, so you find out a lot about your team every game.
Thank you, Coach.
Going to wrap you up, Coach. Thank you.
Thank you.